Hello, this is Talking Europe on France 24. I'm Catherine Nicholson and I'm here today at the European Commission with Vice President Věra Jourova, a former government minister in your home country, the Czech Republic, and now overseeing values and transparency at the European Commission. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And just to give our viewers a bit more of an understanding of some of your work, your portfolio includes rule of law, an issue where the Commission is at loggerheads to some degree with two member states of the EU right now, Hungary and Poland. Another issue we'll be speaking about as well, media freedom, with the Commissioner having just launched proposals for new laws intending to safeguard media independence and journalist safety in the European Union. Věra Jourova, before we come to that, let's just talk about some of the latest EU news of the last couple of days. Big news from across the street here in Brussels at the EU summit. The leaders have agreed that energy prices here in Europe must come down, but they have been unable to agree at this point on how to make that happen. We're in October, a potentially very hard winter is coming. With millions facing hardship, is this a political failure?
It's not, and I think I will quote Emmanuel Macron, who said that there was unity and there was very clear also preparedness to continue the work, especially on the price capping. And I was relieved in the morning when I woke up and when I saw that there is a result and that the unity was kept, because we have to say no to the evil together in one voice, and the evil is coming from Russia, and we have to get rid of the dependence on Russian gas and Russian fossil fuels. And so this is the way there. Of course, at the same time, there must be well-functioning machine, the EU and the member states, which have the main obligation to take care that nobody will be suffering, nobody will be freezing, nobody will feel the burden of the war more than necessary. I think that it has to be orchestrated effort, and this is what I see at least.
You speak about unity in the European Union. It's been something that we've heard since the Russian invasion. Has been something that's been very important for the EU to be showing. However, on this issue of the energy prices, we saw a very clear split between the number one and number two economies in Europe, Germany and France, on different sides of the argument regarding a gas price cap, and also Emmanuel Macron criticising Olaf Scholz for not talking to him and other European leaders about these issues, about his own domestic energy bailout. How worrying is that to you?
Well, we were always relying on this Franco-German driver of the EU, but it doesn't exclude that these two countries and those leaders may have different views. And it's very logical that the countries, not only Germany and France, but all the countries, when you look at the map of the EU and the sources of energy and the energy mixes which differ country by country, it's only logical that there are different views and different proposals for solutions. But one thing is very important, that the hardship in looking for the solution means that there must not be winners and losers. At the end of the agreement, there will always be everybody who will be a little bit frustrated. But the solution,
that would be a sort of victory.
The solution must be acceptable for all. That's why it's good that President Macron and Chancellor Scholz will meet soon, also tête-à-tête. It always helps when the men speak together with each other. Also the women, but here this is the domain of the men.
Indeed, indeed. Let's speak about the war in Ukraine itself. This week, a particularly concerning development. Civilians taken out of the occupied city of Kherson en masse by Russian forces. Now, Moscow says this is an evacuation for their safety. There are reports from civilians in the city of people being told they're being taken away, forcibly removed. Is that your understanding? And if these are deportations, what's the appropriate response?
This is absolutely outrageous. Not only what the Russians are doing, but also that they are covering it by total lie. Because to explain that this is humanitarian assistance and that it's not deportation, well, this is the old playbook. I come from Czechoslovakia. In 1968, there was the full working Russian propaganda saying that this is the brotherly help. It was invasion, it was military invasion, exactly the same thing what we see now. So the world is watching what they are doing. That's why we are also supporting the journalists working in the battlefield so that we can get the a trustworthy channel of information about what's happening, because the Russian propaganda is really very successful. Maybe not so much in European member states, but we see the increase of impact of the propaganda in Arabic world and Africa. But it's a longer story. I don't want to speak longer about that.
Certainly is. But speaking about media freedom, as I referenced in our introduction, you unveiled the European Media Freedom Act just a couple of weeks ago, a first attempt within the EU to create a legal framework to safeguard media freedom. Now, individual member states do already have their own internal regulation, and the EU is seen as being a place where the media is quite free. Why would EU-level laws be needed?
Again, I will invite you to look at the map. And the map speaks about very negative trend in majority of member states. Majority. Politicization, interference of politics into the media freedom and editorial freedom. Economic pressure of large scope. The media need, also public service media, needs some predictability of financing so that they can do this truly public service. I was in France. I spoke to the main figures also representing the public service media. And what I heard, it will be good to have the space or the platform on European level. When the things go wrong in the member state, there might be some maybe help from the side of the European law.
So you see putting this at the EU level as creating a sort of a more neutral space for that regulation to happen.
What
about concerns about censorship, though?
That's good point. There is some fatal misunderstanding, because we are not introducing censorship, we are not introducing rules for media, but we are introducing rules for the space for the media, the environment where they can work freely, and where the journalists can do their job without fear that they will be silenced by some abusive litigation or even by some threats or physical violence. So we see worsening of the situation, and I don't have any other solution than to come with legally binding rules, accompanied with some campaign and some recommendations to the member states. But if we want a lot from the media in Europe. We are democracies, and we want the media to play the role of watchdogs of democracies. If we let them fall economically or under some political pressure, we will all be losing.
One specific aspect, investigations are ongoing into evidence of journalists having been spied on by governments, including Hungary, Poland, Greece and Spain, with this Pegasus spyware. Now, there's the former Catalan leader, now an MEP, Carles Puigdemont, who says that his phone was spied on, and he thinks the European Commission is shying away from this topic. He wants a total ban on Pegasus in the EU. Can that happen?
I am on the case. I have to say that, in my view, 4 countries are just the peak of the iceberg. I guess this is much bigger. And so we have to do 3 things: to do the proper mapping and trying to find out as much as we can how serious and how frequent this is. And the second thing, and this is what I promised to Greek Prime Minister, by the way, that we will come with legal interpretation of how the legal wiretapping should look like, because this is mainly about the national security aspect. And emphasize again that illegal spying using these spywares is already banned. And this is the GDPR angle. So I believe that the Commission should bring more clarity into that and be more proactive, and this is exactly what I plan to do in the coming months.
Okay, let's move on to the rule of law aspect of your portfolio. As I said, Poland, one of the countries particularly in the spotlight right now. Just this week, the European Commission concluded that Poland had not done enough to ensure independence of its judiciary. It's frozen payments to Warsaw from the Cohesion Fund. Just for our viewers, Poland's part of that fund is worth around 75 billion euros in total. Viera Jourova, how far is the Commission prepared to go on this? Could all of that money be withheld from Poland?
It was not the Commission who declared that they are not compliant with the Charter of Fundamental Rights. It was the Polish side. And it had happened at the technical meeting, so I believe that we should calm down. We should ask Poland to clarify further how they meant it and what they need to correct or fix the situation. And so it requires more negotiations. Already the 3 operational programs have been adopted or approved by the Commission, so the process is ongoing. I was surprised myself about that Poland itself or Polish authorities itself declared such a thing. So we will continue the talks.
So open to talks, but in terms of the scope of potentially how much of this fund could be withheld, is it possible that all of that money could be withheld?
Well, the compliance with the Charter, it's a general condition. So either it's there or not. If it's not, it covers the whole amount, which is indeed what you said. On top of that, we negotiate with Poland their access to 35 billion euro under the recovery plan. And here I would really wish to see Poland moving towards fulfilling the condition, because I am absolutely convinced that the Polish people need the support.
Very clear message. Thank you very much, Viera Jourova, Vice President of the European Commission.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to you for watching. Do stay tuned. More Talking Europe coming up in a couple of minutes' time.